that Pistol-Packin Hermaphrodite is the 24th and final episode of the third season of 2.5 Men. This is directed by James Widdoes, and as always there will be spoilers from now. As I talk about the episode, I will go through things chronologically and share some thoughts. It's not a bad episode. I don't like Mia. I didn't really like the previous episode, but I think this one's a bit stronger. Maybe it's because things went the way that I preferred. Maybe that's why I like it a bit more. It starts off with Charlie coming home with some big news, and then the next thing we know, he and Alan are shopping for an engagement ring for Mia. Rose then comes over, and the timing isn't great because Gordon has left her, and Charlie tells her that he's getting married to Mia, and Rose's response is brilliant. In fact, she has a significant lack of response. But Melanie Lynskey's performance was fabulous. You could just see the switch in her brain being flicked and changing the way she was speaking, the way she was carrying herself. She even used the front door. All she could say was, "I have things to do." What are those things? Well, we'll find out in due course. We then see Charlie and Mia planning parts of the wedding, and Alan decides to help. And I put that in air quotes because he was less helpful and more controlling. I liked the fact that Mia could also see that and decided that Charlie's idea of just having pie was much easier than dealing with Alan. And we then cut to a car ride that I think went on for far too long. In general, I don't care for car scenes in any TV show or film, but 2.5 Men tends to do them really well. They tend to actually be quite interesting, but I think the car journey lasted a little bit too long. It's after everybody, including Evelyn, had dinner with Mia's parents, and it didn't exactly go down very well. We then have... we cut to Mia's apartment, where there is a knock at the door. And Rose turns up in a wedding dress, which is... well, if I were Mia, I'd be very terrified in that situation. We have a brief moment with Alan and Charlie talking about why Alan liked being married when he was married, and then Mia comes over and obviously tells Charlie what has happened, and then they kind of start arguing for a little bit because Mia says, I want Rose not at my wedding, and Charlie says, fine, I'll cross her off the guest list if you don't take your sister, which is quite a big ask. I don't think that's quite in the same league as asking that your fiance's stalker doesn't go to the wedding. And they start having a bit of an argument about family. Mia makes a kind of throwaway comment about how it would be so much easier if they just eloped. And we cut to said elopement. And they're about to get married. And they're asked a question beforehand about their honeymoon. And Mia decides in that moment to talk to Charlie. She takes him to one side to talk about the honeymoon. It didn't really feel necessary, to be honest. I don't think they should have interrupted the wedding, which was basically beginning, to talk about the honeymoon. It just seemed completely unnecessary. It didn't feel like that part of the episode flowed very well. But as somebody who doesn't like Mia, I do like the conversation that followed, because Mia basically said, we'll have to turn the second bedroom into the nursery, but that's Jake's room. Yeah, but Alan will be moving out, and Charlie is confused by why Mia would think that's the case. I don't think Mia is unreasonable to think that once they were married and living together, at some point, Alan and Jake would move out. But she was talking like it was going to happen immediately, and I really admire Charlie for not letting Mia control that. And the wedding is off. And I also like the fact that when Charlie told Alan that the wedding was off, he didn't tell him why. And I think that, well, granted, I think Alan would have loved to have heard that Charlie put his brother ahead of Mia. I think that would have done wonderful things for Alan's self-esteem. But at the same time, I like the fact that Charlie didn't use it to gain brownie points. I think that was quite nice. And also, as somebody who doesn't like Mia, I was happy with that. Alan is then marrying Kandi. And they get married. Within about 30 seconds, we go from them announcing they're getting married to them kissing the bride, as it were. And Alan excitedly turns to Charlie. You're finally getting what you wanted. I'm moving out of your house. Of course, Charlie's just lost Mia. Alan is moving out. Nothing has gone his way. And then it pops up at the bottom, to be continued. Now, considering this is the end of the season I don't necessarily think they needed to put to be continued, because obviously at some point it will be continued, because that's how TV shows work. Maybe they just put that there to try and secure the next season, to leave us on a little bit of a cliffhanger, but it doesn't really feel like a cliffhanger, to be perfectly honest. I know what happens next. Roughly, I've seen the show many times. I can't remember exactly what happens in the next episode, but I generally remember what's coming up next. And I'm looking forward to starting the new season. Didn't really love the previous episode, but that Pistol-Packin Hermaphrodite was definitely pretty good, and not a bad ending to the third season of 2.5 Men.